In the 1970s through the 1980s, Bolivia faced a period of chaos and corruption. There were several regime changes and coups. The country was home to high-level drug trafficking and even Nazi fugitives. This is the story of the cocaine coup. France, 1940. The country is under Nazi occupation. Klaus Barbie, an SS officer, is assigned to Lyon as the head of the local Gestapo. Barbie was a cruel man. He personally tortured his prisoners. He became known as the Butcher of Lyon. His torture methods were as vile as they come. One man beaten, skin torn and his head immersed in buckets of ammonia and cold water. He could not sit or stand. He died 3 days later. His other methods included subjecting prisoners to dog bites and rape. Barbie is also known for participating in roundups and deportation. In one event, intel was passed on to Barbie about a child refugee camp. He had the 44 children captured and sent to Auschwitz. After the war was over, Barbie was recruited by the U.S. Army Counterintelligence Corps. The U.S. used Barbie and other Nazi Party members to further anti-communist efforts in Europe. Soon, the French discovered Barbie was working for the U.S. and made a plea to release him to the French for execution. Instead of handing Barbie over to the French, the CIC aided his escape to Bolivia in 1951. Since arriving in Bolivia, Barbie had been working as a torture and intelligence expert for paramilitaries, and by 1970, he would meet Bolivian dictator Hugo Banzer. While working for Banzer, Barbie helped stifle dissent towards his regime. Banzer was known for imprisonment, torture, and murder of his political opposition. Anyone who spoke of the crimes committed by his regime would soon disappear. Banzer was seeking to boost the country's economy through the cocaine trade. He took Barbie to meet his friend, Roberto Suarez Gomez, a Bolivian drug trafficker. Suarez had a fleet of aircraft that flew cocaine shipments from the Bolivian Amazon to Colombia. He conducted business with the most powerful figure in the drug trafficking scene, Pablo Escobar. Suarez took Barbie to meet the Colombian drug lord. Barbie and Escobar struck a deal. He agreed to provide security for Escobar's raw coca supply from cultivation until it reached processing plants in Colombia. In exchange, Escobar would fund Barbie's anti-communist activities. But that wasn't the only deal in operation. There was one more big player in the scene: Fidel Castro. Fidel and his brother Raul allowed the group to use Cuban airports for refueling their drug transport planes. To defend this operation, a crew of criminals from all across the globe was assembled by Barbie. It was led by a wanted Nazi named Joachim Fiebel-Korn. The group consisted of Rhodesian mercenaries, Italian bombers, former Spanish Foreign Legion, and French OAS terrorists. Stefano Della Chiaie, an internationally wanted terrorist, was also associated with the group. They were known as the Fiancés of Death. The group began causing havoc by setting fire to rival Bolivian coca farms. But they were soon faced with a big problem. General Banzer was forced to step down in 1978, leading to a series of coups and rigged elections. U.S. President Jimmy Carter pressured the country to hold free elections set for 1980. The coalition that looked sure to win promised to crack down on drug trafficking. The end seemed near for Barbie, as pressure mounted from Nazi hunters who knew of his hideout in Bolivia. Barbie feared capture by a democratic government that would extradite him to face punishment in France or Israel. He quickly contacted General Luis Garcia Meza, the head of Bolivia's military academy. Barbie talked to Meza about a coup. Suarez joined forces as a financial backer. Argentina and Chile agreed to assist in the matter. They provided training. Argentina even provided a list of targets in Bolivia. July 1980, the coup begins. The fiancé stormed through the capital in ambulances, executing dissenters and hijacking government buildings. The brutalized bodies of politicians were left in the streets. Opposition to the new government were taken back to HQ and introduced to Barbie's electroshock machines. The next day, General Garcia Meza was installed as the new president of Bolivia, with Barbie and Chiai securing positions in his cabinet. The coup soon drew international condemnation, but their coup was timed to avoid any problems. 1980 was an election year for the US, with Ronald Reagan favored to secure the win. The group hoped to form a relationship with the potential incoming Reagan administration.
Help them fight cavities, then crest.
In the box, we serve real dinners like...
The day Ronald Reagan takes office as President of the United States will be the day when America comes together for a new beginning.
However, their hopes were extinguished when the Reagan administration refused to restore ties. After less than a year in power, in 1981, Meza was forced out of office. Soon after, the military also withdrew from their position. Meza fled the country, but was sent back to serve a 30-year jail sentence. Suarez was arrested in 1988. He spent the rest of his time in prison. In 1983, Klaus Barbie was arrested. He is sentenced to life in prison. 8 years later, in a prison in Lyon, he dies, the very place he committed his brutal crimes.